everyone. Thanks for joining us in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Saturday, August 12th is World Elephant Day. So to help us get a little bit more insight about these smart, beautiful, emotional creatures, I'd like to welcome Todd Montgomery with the Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee. He's joining us via Skype. Todd, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, and love that I get to chat with you and get a little bit more insight on elephants and how we can all learn to help protect them, preserve them, and a little bit about why it's important, as well as find out about your mission at the sanctuary. So why don't we get started by you telling us just a little bit about what you do there.
Sure. So my name is Todd Montgomery, and I'm the education manager here at the Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee. And the Elephant Sanctuary is one of two accredited sanctuaries in North America for elephants, for Asian and African elephants that are retired from performance and exhibition. So here at our facility, we have 10 elephants that live on 2,700 acres. These, again, are Asian and African elephants that come from a life of being either on display for educational purposes in zoos or performing in circuses. And then when they retire, sort of like when we retire, the idea is they get to go someplace where they can do what they like, they can sort of live at their own pace, they can be with their companions, they can have something that hopefully is a little bit more akin to what they would have in the wild, in their native habitats.
And it's really neat. You guys have been around for more than 20 years, and you have this vast amount of property as well, and it's kind of grown throughout the years. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing what you do.
Yeah, that's well. Thank you. We were founded in 1995, and of course we've grown in size and in elephant population since then. We've actually had 27 elephants that have retired here to the sanctuary. I remind people that as sad as that may make us, elephants don't live forever, and so we've had to say goodbye to elephants over the years, and we've had new elephants that have come to join us. So the population changes a little bit. It varies in time, but we've had lots of elephants that have lived here, and we hope to have many, many more.
So tell us a little bit about why it's important what you do there. And you're going to, at some time, show us, just while you're talking, whenever it feels natural to you, you're going to show us some of the cameras you have there, because not open to the public. The idea is, with the Elephant Sanctuary, is kind of like a retirement home for these elephants. It's not open to the public, so people can't come in and view and be a part of it, but people can view them on your Elecams, which I think is a great idea. So it's kind of like a peaceful place for them to be, not necessarily a zoo, nothing like that. It's a place for them to get away and kind of be in a natural environment.
You're exactly right, and again, one of the things that makes this sanctuary unique and sort of helps it stand out is it is not a place, as you said, where people can come and can actually see the elephants, to share space with them. And the reason is because we want to provide, again, a true retirement. These are elephants that have all spent a very long time in the public eye, again, either in zoos or circuses or another very public environment. And so when they come to live with us, that public part of their life is over. They're never again going to be physically put on display or exhibited. And the reason for that is, again, there are we have elephants here that live with us that have maybe went decades without seeing another elephant. Maybe went many years living in conditions that we would consider to be certainly less than favorable or less than suitable. And so when they're here, we try to recreate the wild condition as best as we can, of course providing for their comfort and their care, and being close to the public. Not only do we think that affords the elephants a true sense of their space and personal space, and a place where they can really do what they want, but it also certainly allows us to focus, not exclusively, but much more heavily just on the needs of the elephants here in our care, and also educating the public about why that is so important. Our mission is twofold. Not only are we caring for elephants, we're also, as you said, teaching people about why that's important. If we get beyond the fact that elephants are these large, super intelligent, amazing animals that certainly require our respect and our admiration, if we get past that, we see that elephants beyond that are keystone species in the wild. They are animals that really are cornerstones of their respective environments. These elephants provide lots of services that allow life to flourish in Africa and in Asia where they live. And if these animals go away, if they become extinct in the wild, which sadly is a very real possibility, then not only will we have a wild without elephants, but we'll also be looking at a world where many of these habitats and ecosystems will suffer in their absence. And elephants here in captivity, elephants don't live in the wild anywhere in North America, but there are over 400 elephants that are in North America, including the 10 that we have here. And these are all elephants, again, in zoos and circuses and carnivals and those sorts of things. So those elephants, we think, demand the best care that can be provided. And again, that is why not only do we have a space to care for those elephants, but how we're working with other organizations to make sure that every elephant in captivity in North America has the highest standard of care that they can.
I like that. I think that's valuable and that's important. And it's kind of a twofold question here. And you're going to be showing us. There we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. While I was talking, I was moving our cameras around. This is a live camera system, so I can't, I don't know that the elephant's going to be, staged right when I look, so I have to look around a little bit, figure out where they are. Here we have one of our elephants, Tara, and actually, and somewhat coincidentally, our care staff placed out some special enrichment items for Tara. It looks like she has some bamboo there and some other goodies. So she's just discovered that, and so she will probably spend a little bit of time browsing there or grazing, using her trunk to pick up those food items and just sort of investigating what's been put out for her. So I'll let her dine in peace, but that's who we're looking at.
And you were telling me, because I asked you this before, is how do you get any work done if you have a chance to peek in on all the elephants? And you said, well, it's part of the job is to make sure you're keeping an eye on all of them, correct?
Yeah, these cameras, not only are they a tool for us to monitor the elephants to make sure that everyone is safe and that there's not something going on that is unexpected, it's also one of the primary ways that we share our work with the world. These cameras actually live stream to our website. You can go view them at www.elephants.com/LECam, and you can watch these cameras along with us. And we have around 6,000 to 7,000 viewers a day that are watching our cameras with us. So the elephants, even though even though the sanctuary is not open to the public, these elephants still are seen or viewed by thousands of people every day, just in a manner that we think is more conducive to allowing them their personal space and their sanctuary.
I mean, it's incredible to watch. It's beautiful to watch, and nice that we can watch them kind of in peace in a somewhat natural environment. Some of the elephants that you have pretty emotional stories and backgrounds with them. I was reading about some of them. One of them, and forgive me for not remembering all their names, but one of them, a book was written about them where their circus chain, after a good amount of time, they finally let you be able to break that chain off of their foot. One of them was rescued after a certain amount of time, came to your sanctuary after surviving a flood.
Sure.
One of them carried a tire around with them for a good amount of time as kind of a security item.
We would like to think that all these animals, and again, something that I want to be really clear about, all the animals that live here, all the elephants that live here at the sanctuary, and many of the elephants that are still in captivity in North America, were not born in captivity. These were all animals that were taken from the wild, and they were very young, 6 months to 2 years, or maybe a little bit older than that, brought from the wild. And in the wild, an elephant calf is going to be, they may nurse from their mother for up to 5 years. Imagine if that's what nature has planned, and then that elephant is separated from the mother, from the herd at 6 months or a year old. It probably changes a lot about that elephant. We can imagine what an awful and in some cases traumatic event that may be. So for many elephants, that's the start of their captive life. And we'd like to think that all these people that own elephants are really providing care for them at the highest level, and a lot of them are, but sadly a lot of them are not. And there are lots of sad stories. Billy, the elephant that you mentioned, the elephant who was a circus elephant for so long, and immediately just before she was able to retire to the sanctuary, she actually lived for many years inside of a barn that had a concrete floor, and there was a hole in the roof, and she was chained at her back leg, and so she really wasn't able to move around at all. So that was her life just before coming to the sanctuary. And so here, to have the hundreds of acres that she has, to have the ability to have companions, the ability to do what she wants when she wants, is a dramatically different environment than the one that she came from in her previous captive life. And again, Billy's story is one of the 27 that have taken place here. I was going to say that had a happy ending, but Billy's story is still unfolding.
Still going.
It's still going. Billy's 55 now, and hopefully we'll have many more wonderful chapters to add to that story before it's all said and done.
Exactly. So as we move forward and kind of celebrate and appreciate World Elephant Day, what should we know? What should people out there know about these creatures, these animals, as we move forward? Whether they're in captivity, whether they're in sanctuaries, or whether they're in the wild. What are some things that we need to know to help with this species?
Well, there are a number of things that we can do, and I'll start with what may be the simplest, and that is educate yourself. And once you can educate yourself, you can certainly educate others. Elephants in the wild, elephants in captivity, face a number of threats. We know that elephants in the wild, especially in Africa, the issue of poaching, the illegal hunting of those animals just for their tusks, for their ivory, has reached levels in the past few years that are truly horrific, to the point that nearly, on average, 96 elephants a day are killed in Africa just for their tusks. If that continues, we'll be looking at an Africa without wild elephants in another 20 to 30 years. So something that we can all do that will have a tremendous impact is making sure that we're not purchasing, that we're not contributing any money to any enterprise that is going to harm elephants, such as the ivory trade. Another thing that we try to really promote to people is whenever you're buying the stuff that we use as consumers, whether it's a coffee or wood or cleaning products, make sure that you look for those things that say they are Rainforest Alliance certified, or
Okay.
make sure that they come from organizations that hold up their environmental standards as one of their cornerstones, because that means that they're going to be using standards that aren't harming the habitats of not only elephants but lots of other wild animals as well. Also, you can, of course, speaking in terms of the sanctuary, another thing that you can do, another way that you can learn, is by visiting the sanctuary's website, elephants.com. We do lots of webinars with schools all around the world, as a matter of fact, where we're able to share more information about the elephants and to ask questions. Before you go someplace where you may be able to physically see an elephant, ask questions about the care of that elephant. Really see what sort of care is provided, and see for yourself, before you decide to support that organization, that it is a level of care that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think people kind of have that internal battle, whether they're going on vacation somewhere.
Sure.
In the tourism industry, I know that's a big one. And elephants, whether or not they're being treated well or not, because you have this opportunity to see an elephant, do you support that, do you not, and what standards are with that? And then also zoos. People have that struggle. Do you want to go visit a zoo and be able to see and take your children and learn about that environmental education aspect of that? Or do you not? And so I know a lot of people have this internal conflict. So I think asking questions is a big one.
Yeah, asking questions is a big one, and at the same time, we want to be really clear in saying that these elephants are very, very special animals to, if not to all of us, to most of us. A lot of us have really wonderful, memories of seeing an elephant for the first time, regardless of where it was. But what I like to remind people is that we're in a very different place now than we were than when I was a little boy, and certainly in a very different place than when my parents were young and they would have seen elephants. And we're learning and we're growing, and we're learning so much more about what these elephants demand and what these elephants need, and how incredibly intelligent they are, the amazing range of emotions and behaviors that they have. And I don't think there's any reason that as we grow and as we learn that we don't evolve our care standards to go along with our knowledge. So now, we have for people who are looking for a different way to experience elephants, a different way to learn. We have our live cameras, which I'm trying to bring back up now. There are lots of other organizations that have live cameras all over elephants' native habitats in Africa and Asia, where you can observe these animals in their native habitats along with observing them in the sanctuary. So I think the main thing is to ask questions. As much as we would like to believe that everyone has the animal's best interests in mind always, sadly, that's not always the case.
Exactly. And just as we kind of wrap up here, Todd, I think, what do you think the biggest threat or the biggest danger that either wild elephants, that elephants in general face as we move forward?
I think the biggest danger that elephants face, and I touched upon this a little bit before, is, well, wild elephants, the very real threat of extinction in their native habitats, and not only due to ivory poaching, but also due to loss of habitat as human population expands and as we stretch and the cities reach farther out and the forests begin to shrink. It's a very real possibility, sadly, that these animals may go extinct in the wild, certainly over the course of my lifetime. So I think, number one, that's the primary threat. Now, what can we do about that? Again, we can only support organizations that have ecologically friendly principles. So as we're buying, I mentioned coffee is a big one. Coffee is one of the most traded commodities on the global market. It's also, when coffee is grown in ways that isn't ecologically friendly, it can take up a lot of space. That takes away a lot of space from those animals, elephants being a great example. So we ask our supporters to only purchase shade-grown coffee. You can buy shade-grown coffee at all of your major retail outlets, and you can certainly ask for it. And that's coffee that's grown in a sustainable manner. So just doing that, you are supporting an organization that is in turn supporting the environment, which is going to allow a greater habitat for all those animals. And that's just one example. So it's really hard to narrow down just one threat because there are so many. But all those many sort of wrap up into one under the umbrella of human interaction, and a lot of times that's negative for the elephants. So the biggest threat to elephants, not to oversimplify it, but it is humans. We've caused the elephants more problems than anything else has, and so now the challenge for us is to figure out a way to, if not undo all of that, to certainly find a way to live in a sustainable manner with these animals in the wild and in captivity for the foreseeable future.
All right. Well, I think we will wrap up with that. And just as we are wrapping up here, can you tell us the names of these elephants as we say goodbye?
Absolutely. So we're looking at two elephants on our screen, two Asian female elephants that are actually retired here from a circus life. So on the left we have Debbie, the elephant, and on the right is Ronnie. These two have they're not biologically related, but they've known each other for many years. They're very close, very good companions. This is a pretty common scene. It's hot here in Tennessee today, and so these two are doing exactly what I think we would expect. They found a nice shady spot, and they're just going to probably chill out until the sun goes down and gets a little bit cooler, and then we'll see them moving around a bit more and grazing. And if I can say one other thing, Saturday, World Elephant Day, obviously it may not be possible for your viewers in and around Providence and New England to get down to see us, but if you go to our Instagram feed, which is at the Elephant Sanctuary, we're going to be live Instagramming the events here at the sanctuary, our World Elephant Day celebration over the course of the day. So if you want to see what we're doing here to recognize World Elephant Day, you can visit our Instagram feed, and we'll keep you updated that way.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Todd Montgomery with the Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee, thank you for all your hard work that you're doing to help promote and preserve this species, and thank you for filling us in on all the stories that you have shared with us, and just a couple of different ways that we can move things forward and help put preservation ourselves and preserve the habitat as well. I think I can work on my coffee buying habits as well.
Absolutely.
That's an easy fix.
We all have a lot more power than we think. We just have to ask those questions.
We just have to do that. Todd Montgomery, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time with us, and happy World Elephant Day on Saturday. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it, Todd.